Good evening, my friends. Alive After 5, Anthony Fontana here, coming at you from our home here on Long Island. It is Friday. I think it's February 8 or something. The month is already going quickly. That's pretty exciting. Welcome if you're listening in. If this is a recorded version that you're listening to, I would love to know that. If you're watching it as a recording, a replay as they call it. But if you're here tonight, it is Friday night. It's rainy here on Long Island, but it's like spring. We haven't had much weather out here, amazingly. That's pretty cool that we have not. Hey, Abner, what's going on, buddy? So this is a continuation of what we talked about last night. I'm gonna probably do a couple more nights on this because I want to drill this home. You know, our minds are controlled by our environments and our past, and that's what we need to fight against. So what I want to say is this. You know, as children, we're taught to stand in line. We're taught to do everything that everybody else is doing, color between the lines, get good grades, finish high school, finish college, maybe get a second degree, get a great job, work for 40 years, and then retire. That's the way I was brought up. It's not the way I lived my life, but that's what I was told. And unfortunately, hi Irma, how are you, sweetheart? Good to see you, hon. Hey Tommy, what's going on, brother? Tommy, you need to give me a call, my man, please, tomorrow. Hey James. So it just doesn't work that way. You know, I spent my first 12 years from 17 to 30 at the Bank of Tokyo, and I built a business up from 83 to 89. I built a branch of the bank. It's called a servicing agent function. I was the largest in the country, from $0 to $9 billion, probably generating 30 or 40 million a year for the bank. My retirement from that in another, I don't know how many more years, is about $450. So apparently that's what I was worth to a bank that I probably put $100 million in their pockets in the 80s. So the whole idea of working 40 years and retiring was just, I didn't see it, and most of us don't see it. Most of the guys that are in my age bracket either lost the jobs that they had, a few union guys might still be working, have some pensions, working for the cities at various municipalities, but the majority of people don't have any of that. And that's the way people were brought up. We were told, don't paint outside the lines. How many of you heard that from your parents? How many times have you taken a job as a temporary thing? You know, I'm just going to do this right now. I got to make some, I got to do it right now. And then 15 years later, you're still doing the job because you got into a routine and you can't deviate outside those lines because God forbid you make a change, you're going to get beaten over the head by somebody in your family saying, you got to stay in the lines, keep that job, 5 more years, you can retire with a tremendous $450 a month pension, plus Social Security. You know, it's just nuts. You're coasting along on a routine because of decisions you made years ago, and that's just crazy. If you follow the same path that everybody else is on, you're going to end up where everybody else went. I mean, doesn't that make any sense? I think that's just crazy. You know, you're going to have some permission tonight. I'm going to give you permission to forget the guidelines that you've been given. I'm going to give you permission to forget any dumb rules that were, you know, drilled down on top of you by your family, by your parents, by your teachers, all these rules on how to live your life. I'm going to give you permission to forget what society has told you you need to do to live your life, and what they've told you is right or wrong. Live your dream. Live the way you want to live your life, and do it within obviously being a good person to do that. I'm not saying deviate from the law by no means. I don't want to get beaten up for that. But there's just a way to do things, and there's a way not to do things. And if you're teaching your children to do that 40-year deal, you're doing them a disservice. I'm going to tell you right now. Hey, Thomas, what's going on? Michael, cousin Michael, what's going on? Ahmed, I thought you were working right now. So I want you to be yourself. I want you to be happy. I'm not saying to quit what you're doing or give up everything that you're doing right now. Just realize, though, you have a chance to fulfill the dreams that you have. Fulfill your potential. That's all I'm asking you to step up and do. You know, America's visionaries, they thought outside the box. They didn't conform to anything. If you read the stories of, you know, Vanderbilt with the railroads, and of course, I think it was John D. Rockefeller, the way he built his oil empire. He was ruthless. There was no antitrust in those days. I mean, he rolled over people. If a small oil company wouldn't sell out to him, he would roll them over. When the railroads stepped in, when Vanderbilt stepped in and started building railroads all over the country, basically delivering oil on trains, he bought probably the only bridge that would be able, that train would be able to come from the west. He bought the bridge that it was supposed to go over. He stopped that program dead. He built pipelines hundreds of miles. And that's how he got his oil to the ports. He didn't waste time on trains. That's why he was worth the equivalent of $1 trillion today. John D. Rockefeller, an amazing, amazing and ruthless individual. He didn't go along with any kind of plan, did he? And he changed the face of America, as did Vanderbilt, as did Edison, as did all these visionaries that stepped up and did something different when they were told they can't do it. Never tell a visionary they can't do something, because they're going to gosh darn do it, despite, in fact, because you said they can't do it, they're going to go ahead and do it. Hey, Ricky, what's going on, brother? Hey, Paul. So they thought outside the box, didn't they? Without question. So that's a secret right there. You know, successful people live by different rules. They don't conform to anyone's rules, and they don't accept mediocrity. So a successful person does what they need to do. They don't look at mediocrity as a blessing. They don't look at it that way. They look at it as just not what they want. And they try to lift themselves out of that, and they try to help others lift themselves out of that. And by helping others become wealthy, that's how the really wealthy became really wealthy. And they've run businesses, they've hired people, they've expanded their operations, and they changed the vision that this country had in the beginning, and they've made it what it is. I think it's a great place to grow. I think it's a great place to be, and I'm happy I live here. Hope you are too. So what changes would you make today? If you had a chance to make some changes, if you didn't give a crap what anybody else thought, what changes would you make today? I want you to think about those ideas. I want you to listen to your heart, and I want you to listen to your mind, and I want you to put it out on paper. Because the minute that you write it down, that's the minute that it's going to start working for you. The change is difficult. It's always difficult to make a decision to do something different, because your own brain is going to be hammering at you with an anvil, telling you, stay within the lines. Don't you remember what your mom said? You've got to color within the lines, Anthony. Yeah, well, no, Anthony didn't. I was told I had crappy handwriting when I was a kid, and God darn it, I have crappy handwriting 55 years later. But anyway, so that was that. But here's what I want you to do, a little exercise. It's going to help. It's so funny. When I wrote this out, it looked like that. I'm like, oh, gosh darn it, I'm going to have to figure out, because I can't reverse this video, right? And then I realized I used a marker so it bled through the paper. So I want you to take a piece of paper, and I'm going to turn this around, and I want you to write this down. Things I'm no longer willing to accept in life, and things that are musts in life. Okay? That's the actual bled through portion of this piece of paper. I wrote it on the other side. So it's pretty cool, right? This is the backwards part. So I want you to do that. Do it now. Don't wait. Do it now. Piece of paper out. Things that I no longer am willing to accept in life, and things that are musts in my life. And here's what you're going to do when you write those two things down. You're going to write down 2 or 3 things on each side. 2 or 3 ideas. I want you to let those ideas flow from your heart. Not from your mind, not from your thoughts. I don't want you to think about the whys and the hows and the whatevers. I just want you to jot down 3 or 4 things. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to see a huge gap between the two. The things that are no longer acceptable and the things that are musts. And when you write it down, the motivation to move towards the things that are musts is going to overwhelm you. That's the first step to moving forward on a dream. The first step on moving forward to something that's a worthy ideal. So I want you to do this exercise. Gosh darn it, if you don't, it's on you, but I did this, and I think you should do it too. Ricardo, what's going on, brother? My meeting was canceled, my man. I'm going to have that done for you tonight. So I'm excited to share stuff like this. Tomorrow we'll go a little bit further, and maybe a little bit further, but I think I'm going to make my point that the past is the past. Let it stay there. The future is an idea whose time has not yet come. You have the now right now. What you decide to do tonight, this weekend, tomorrow, and Sunday will change the rest of your life. So with that, I'm going to say goodnight. I'm going to hope everyone's having a fantastic weekend. We will catch you here tomorrow night, same time, same bat channel. We love you guys. Have a great night.